All right, welcome to I Read the Clermont Sun. So you don't have to for July 19th, 2025. This is the July 17th edition that I believe the press deadline would have been July 14th. I've been super busy. Uh, just when you're super busy too, totally unrelated to the paper, but our pool filter messed up and broke and was belching sand into the pool. So between like 3:30 yesterday and now, it all got fixed. A new one in there, and so that's apart from all the shit going on in Clermont County and all the news. So life comes at you. So this is I got way behind. It's almost a cold read of the Clermont Sun. I did flip through it real quick before kicking off here. But so here's the edition. I wanted to point out something. I've been in. Of course, it's not covered in the Sun with an issue of that I had asked Clermont County 10 key Clermont County elected officials to tell me every week what were some of their big accomplishments of the week and how many hours they work in their official capacity. They all refused. Then I requested emails from them so that I could go construct what they did in the past week. And so I could report what were elected officials doing every week, something they appear not to want you to know. Okay, it's top secret what they're doing. And they've been fighting in court. And but now, that's starting to crack. Not to me, but Sheriff Stratton is starting to produce emails. These guys were all involved in a conspiracy to prevent me, to deny my statutory right to access to public records. And it's embarrassing. It was all because of Brian Shrive, who is a man in the prosecutor's office that should not be there. And I don't mean to digress from the newspaper too much here, but we're starting to get different emails. We got emails from Angie Livesay, famous for being in charge of the shelter and going on the news saying she had no idea how to run the shelter. And so we start getting emails, and this is where I'm going to tie this in. Why am I even talking about this right now? So I want to pop back here, and I'm going to put up on the screen this email. So it appears that the commissioners have a subscription to the online Clermont Sun, and what they do is download it and then distribute it to a huge shitload of people. I don't know how that works. I mean, I have my own subscription. Okay, that's what I think you're supposed to do, right? For an electronic thing, or is this what? So it's funny how the county will pay shitloads of money to the chamber, but I don't know what they're dealing. Maybe they have a deal. Maybe I need to do a record request for this that allows them to have a subscription and then circulate the paper. But if all the people had a subscription, then wouldn't they then have their own sign-in so they could go sign into the paper? But I just wanted to point this out. We'll see. I'll get it. There's a lot of interesting stuff. One thing I can say about Angie Livesay, she works. It'll be interesting to see whether once all these house of cards on these emails falls, whether some of these elected officials, one of the reasons they're trying to hide stuff is because they don't actually work. So anyway, let's get into the paper. And here we go. Of course, Diamond Dave up on the front there with the JCPenney suit separates. First off, is that this is the number one news story in Clermont County. Okay, I would arguably say that Bill Thomas getting a protection order was a bigger news story than this, and I'm not demeaning that because all these townships, villages, they hire, fire, get new people, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying it's not a news story, but the number one news story is a photo op picture with a new police chief in New Richmond. New Richmond shouldn't even have its own police force. It should contract with the sheriff's office. And, frankly, a lot of times on these small police forces, there's people that truly love the area they're in, but a lot of them are people that could probably never work for the sheriff's office or for a larger police force. And frankly, I don't know what New Richmond is, but any police force that say like 10 or fewer people on the police force probably should not exist. And it doesn't make sense why you would even work there because your opportunity for advancement, promotion, and specialization will be so limited. But anyway, here's a picture of Diamond Dave, the publisher of this paper. Seriously, I think the county basically controls the paper. Megan Alley prints Right, I don't think Megan Alley's very inquisitive, and she's not a good reporter. But I think they basically take their cues. So here's an article about new. That's the number one story. Okay, then an unfortunate, terrible story. Milford teen dies on the highway. Terrible. Okay, that's why I will. I would never have a motorcycle because I know what would happen, and so it's not worth it to me. Okay, then we've got our construction updates from the engineer. So we have, look at this right up front. We have claimed 3 stories from Megan Alley. I've never seen Megan Alley have more than 3 stories, and they're all kind of these simplistic things. So you see, none of these have continued. So look at the total amount of text here. 2 columns on the new Richmond police chief, which is probably stuff that was fed to her. Milford teen, okay. And then you've got the weekly construction updates, and never do you have like in here, like, let me look at this Milford teen story. So, it has, I guess that's, there's a, they're not a single, is there any quotes in here? See, she never does any real reporting where she'd go talk to an officer, talk to these highway patrol. She just publishes stuff that's released to her. Okay, we got the weekly updates. Okay, we get it. I don't know. We need Megan to do that. By the way, it would be cool if you were going to do this weekly updates that you would have a map showing like a key, like it's probably not front page news, but like a key with like pointers to different areas of the county for where things are going on. So then you could see your area and then you could spot it. That's called innovation. Like you have a little map and have the little blurbs be laid on the map over where the actual activities are taking place. Megan, you can take that idea and use it to propel your journalistic career to new heights. Okay, and then we've got everything else. I think almost everything else, when I did a quick flip through this, that almost everything else in here is submitted content, other than when we get to the sports section. So county shares results of inaugural housing study. Whoop-de frickin' do. Are we still on the front page? This is still front page news in Clermont County. Okay, so Bill Thomas protection order, for example, I think has a lot more public interest. I think people like soap opera stuff when it has an element of soap opera in it. They don't necessarily want to participate in the soap opera, but we don't have. That's probably not going to be in here anywhere. Okay. For example, Jeff Corcoran, when he stepped down from the Clermont GOP Central Committee leadership, that should have been a news story. I mean, there's all these things that happen that are, the organization that controls every elected official in the county is kind of should be relevant. I don't think there's ever been a story in the Clermont Sun about anything, relating to the political system in Clermont County. Nope. It's because Megan doesn't live in Clermont County, and Megan is lazy, and she's not a very good reporter. Okay. So then we've got submitted content about the treasurer stepping down at New Richmond Exempted Village Schools. Okay. Nothing like newspaper where the news is submitted by the government. That's called Pravda. That's communism. That's Megan Alley in the Clermont Sun. And Scott, I was trying to engage with Scott, what's his name? Champion on this paper because, there's still a time when a new paper might start in Clermont County, but to buy out this paper and Scott Champion, I don't know if he makes money on this deal. I can't imagine. It's so sub-optimized, it's unbelievable. Newspapers aren't a happening thing, but when you have a newspaper where when I tried to buy advertising like a year ago, they have fewer than 1,200 residential subscribers. That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable in a county of 215,000, you have 1,200. Okay, got some advertising here. Let's see what other submitted. Community calendar. Okay, committee calendar. Here's a good thing. This starts with something on the 26th. Okay, so that's good because it's at least in the future. There's a yard sale on July 18th. That was 18th and 19th. That's yesterday and today, 9 to 3. And, so I wonder about these things where by the time you get the paper, the event would be done. The people that subscribe to this at home, it gets mailed to them. And when I got the physical paper from the Clermont Sun, it was super unpredictable. I wouldn't get the physical paper just because it was so unpredictable when I got it. Sometimes I'd get them out of order. It was so bad because they got mailed. Okay. The Sudoku. Okay. Jungle Jim's ads always on this page. Crossword. Okay, good. Now we got our John article. Okay. John is they should list him as a columnist because John has a op-ed every paper. Okay. Sometimes two, a lot of times two per. And he basically just fills up a page. Okay. And it's always, I love veterans, all for veterans, but it's always about something involving needing more money for veterans. Okay. So here's this Farm Bureau submitted the news. Here's a letter to the editor. I love this too. Nasa Darter. Okay. I'm like, oh, what is this about? I'm thinking, what is this? What did Gene Schmidt, Adam Byrd, Terry Johnson, our actual local legislators in our local paper? No, this is some libtard thing about the big, beautiful bill. Okay. I just think it's funny. Like they think that it's like people that go to the commissioners meeting and talk about Elon Musk and the big, beautiful bill. It's like, we're in Clermont County. These people have no effect on that. And do you think that somebody's watching that is going to go do something? Does this person think that there's somebody reading this that's going to go do something? On the big beautiful bill. Let's see here, like tax breaks for billionaires. This person is retarded, okay? Because the tax breaks are across the spectrum, and the majority of them go to people that are not billionaires. Here's a tip: there's not that many billionaires. Okay, it's not a big thing. How many billionaires do we have in Clermont County? Even he doesn't live in Clermont County, but Ken Oaks and stuff like that. I don't think he personally is a billionaire. He might be, and why would he be? Because he created innovation in the marketplace. Okay, so I'm sure that NASA probably hasn't. I haven't, so I'm not being critical. I'm just saying we need more billionaires that are not crony capitalist billionaires. We need people that are bringing innovation, bringing new markets, bringing. Ken Oaks is an example. I don't know if he's a billionaire. I don't think he is, but he could be. Probably will be someday. He's got 10,000 jobs. It's another thing about billionaires. NASA might not understand. Billionaires create jobs. So how many people work for Tesla? How many people work for SpaceX? Okay, so how many people work for X? A lot less than used to, but there's still people that work there. Okay, then there's a letter to the editor about 4-H, a local content thing. Okay, and that's good. Somebody talking about something that's relevant locally. Okay, then we've got, here's our University of Cincinnati. I notice they periodically submit stuff. A lot of these places must just kick stuff in, and then Megan sits there, oh, I got to fill the pages up, put crap on the pages. Now, this is specific to UC Clermont, so that's good. And, a story here, and let's see, I love, why doesn't Megan, I don't get this. Like if UC Cincinnati UC Clermont submit something, can Megan, does she have like Zoom? Does she have anything? Like, even if she doesn't want to leave her Indian Hill house, can she like say, hey, why don't I actually do a quick interview with this person? Okay, why don't I do the interview with them? Okay, and make it like I'm actually a real reporter instead of just print effectively a fake interview, it looks like here, that is quotes from this person. Okay, so all right, but look at this, another page. Like, look at this. Basically, a submitted thing on some UC distinguished alumni. I'm all for that. Is like, other than these ads, it's taking a full page net of the ads. Okay, but it's probably like what, a third of a page here is just this submitted content. Like if you actually look at this paper, it's so crappy. They have these stories like they just go on and on just to fill pages. Okay. Now we get to the only redeeming part of the paper, the Jake Dowling part of the paper. Frankly, I think that Jake and the Matt guy, I was thinking they should break off and just have a thing called the Clermont Sun, Clermont Sports Report. Okay. That is then not political. They could get lots of advertising. It's not controversial, and they actually do a good job. I would, if I were them, I'd feel embarrassed to work for this operation. They'd probably make a lot more money doing their own thing. The Clermont Sports Report, okay, and includes Cincinnati stuff from a Clermont perspective. These guys could probably get interviews with people, stuff like that. They would just be in a better position. They can call me. So if they're interested in that. So in working on a new press thing, there's discussions of websites and how it's going to work, and it's moving slower than I thought. And but any event, this is about some seniors game. Hats off to these guys, okay, playing seniors, okay. we still have a basketball hoop in our driveway from our kid, and every now and then we'll get out the basketball and start doing it. And I'm sure I look a lot more worn out than any of these guys. So hats off to these guys for this. Okay, interesting. Then Loveland. Okay, we got Loveland here. Story again, Jake Dowling, pictures by Jake Dowling. It's amazing how Jake Dowling can get out and actually do stories that fill pages, not a couple paragraphs, and he's in their personal stories to local teams. Excellent work. Excellent work. I'm not sure if it's always the right focus and so forth, but just on a balance, it's unbelievably good work that Jake Dowling does versus anybody else at this paper. Okay. And when he walks in the room, people should thank him. Well, I don't know that I know they have an office, but I don't know if they have a room or there's any people in a room when you walk into it for this paper. But anyway, okay, something about Canton, Ohio. So even here, I didn't, I told you it's mostly a cold read this morning, unfortunately. He's got he's talking, throws in a local element. Tip Megan, throw in a local element. Okay, rule changes. What is prep baseball? Okay, double first base rules. Okay, all right. So I don't know what this is about, but some rule changes. But Jake writing it up. Now we got the payola. This is how the government controls the news media. One of the ways is that they do they have to buy these ads legally. Look at this, 3 pages of these ads. So 3 full pages paid for basically by the government. And that means that the government gets to control the news media. We learned this also on the national scale, that government money was being used to buy subscriptions to liberal media, that was basically without those subscriptions would not be able to exist. So we got Matt. See, Matt and Jake, they could break off and do the Clermont Sports Report, and they would do an excellent job. Okay, even if they only did a web-based publication, or if they're allowed to do it, then they could get a lot of advertising. Don't you think? Every Jungles, the auto dealerships, all that kind of stuff, they'd all love to be associated with the Clermont Sports Report that was fun and positive. You could also have the Clermont Fun Report of just stuff to do and different events going on in Clermont. Okay, and then coverage of the events that becomes non-political, non-controversial, and these guys could certainly do. Hey, when Jake's out driving around getting all his great sports work, you could get some of that. Okay, do we have some submitted content here that's not sports? Village of Batavia buys a trailer. This is the news in the 14th largest. I'm all for buying a trailer. Great job, guys. Great job, guys. And oh yeah, this is Village of Batavia. What's funny is any entity out there, just submit an article, okay? Because if it's halfway decent, you're probably going to get it published. And and it's funny how you've got that there was an interview. See how it is there. It's simply a life-saving investment, said Mayor. Okay. So it's like an interview when there was no interview. It's submitted. O'Keefe PR. Okay. So I know there's controversy around the Village of Batavia having a PR firm. And, I actually don't follow the Village of Batavia that close. I go there because of the county. I actually don't follow it that close. And a lot of the controversies were happening when I was in Florida last year, and I literally was not following it. Yeah, but I don't understand this PR firm thing. And that's a separate discussion. Okay. And a PR firm, I'm very black and white. A PR firm doesn't compensate for your elected officials not being able to speak articulately. All right. That's a PR firm is for you're having events you want to get out because it would create upside. Let's say that you were having Batavia days every whatever the hell, and you went, or you're trying to have some tournament, or you're doing this or doing that. You're trying to promote tourism to Batavia or something. So anyway, all right, let's keep going here. Then we've got Williamsburg camp, it looks like. Jake is doing a good job, even I think in the summer when you don't have the high school sports and so forth, of finding, it makes it, I'm sure, a little harder to figure out what the content can be. So that is the Clermont Sun. That was the 12 pages of the Clermont Sun. And now I'm going to go to the Jungle Gyms ad, my favorite part. So let's get up there. And that's the totally cold read of the Jungle Gyms ad. I got so far behind. It's like, shit, like quarter till. I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot to look at the paper. And so since I was quarter till and I forgot to look at the paper starting at 9 o'clock, gave me time to get some coffee, do some emails, shave, because I only needed 4 or 5 minutes to look at this paper. Okay, so let's see what we got in the jungle ad. So the jungles got the beef franks, got the pork tenderloin. I love pork tenderloin. You get like, you need some of that. Okay, and then all right, what else we got here? Let me see if anything pops. I think once I bought one of these little dink things. See this like white cane sugar, Dr. Pepper, this kind of stuff, or Mexican Pepsi. I think once I bought one of those, but I really don't get why you would do it, why buy such a thing, other than as a novelty. Okay, you got party pack burgers. Maybe try these out. I told you the last time when I bought some there, they were not good. They were bristly. And this is some package thing. Not what I bought before. $22.99. You're in here. Okay, 20. Okay, so 24 for $22.99. Frozen burgers. I actually have no problem with frozen burgers. They're easy, and so on and so forth. Some fish. By the way, I put out a video of some guys did a tour of Eastgate Mall, and they did a thing of Jungle Gyms. And when they were in Jungle Gyms, you could see the thing of fish with heads on them, which my goal in life is to never order a fish that comes with a head on it in any eating place. But go watch that if you've not watched it. I didn't think about it at the time, but that video those guys put out, they have some inaccuracies. They don't know the area. However, Eastgate Mall is Michael Logue and Joe Dills, and John Becker voted against it, but that's what Eastgate Mall is. Jungle Gyms is Ken Geis. Okay, so it is literally like a tale of two cities of complete incompetence versus ability to get things done. Okay, complete incompetence, Eastgate Mall situation versus ability to get things done. And the politicians don't control Eastgate Mall, but when they allocated $1 million for Eastgate Mall renovation stuff and then spent $300K of it, they asked us to hold them accountable. So we should hold Michael Logue and Joe Dills accountable for the cluster F that Eastgate Mall continues to be. I am now afraid to drive there because the lines are not painted even on what's supposed to be the roadways in there. So you drive around, it's like, where's the damn road supposed to be in here? It's so bad. It's so embarrassing. And it is Michael Logue and Joe Dills. And they love to take the photo ops with Local 12 and WCPO kissing their A's. But where's the articles of those guys now taking responsibility for the clusterfuck that the place continues to be? Joe Dills in a Republican meeting did make a remarks about how he actually said that I was right and he was wrong relating to the Kroger store to Eastgate. All right, so all that was because I saw this fish picture. Remind me of that video. Remind me of this whole thing with Jungle Gyms versus compare and contrast. Jungle Gyms and Eastgate Mall. Okay, so let's keep going here. Produce, that's good. Chicken wings. Don't forget the app. And there's usually some app specials. Did you go past that? Where you can, I guess you have to get it through the app to get the price. I don't know. Barbecue sauce, fantastic. Pizzas, good. I jokingly said before, I used to eat when I was a kid, we'd eat Tony's pizza, but we got fancy and now we eat Red Baron frozen pizzas. And then we go bakery. Seniors, 5% Wednesdays. When I checked, it said you need to have a Golden Buckeye card to do that. Pasta sauce, blah, blah, blah. We're getting close to the end. And we're going to see, I didn't scroll up to the beer part, the liquor, the wine and beer part. Let's see if they have Natty Light in there. Like, so every week they send to have Natty Light. Okay, let's see. We got the toys and collectibles, my bad. We're not quite there yet. You got your toys and collectibles, always some unique, interesting. Oh, yo-yos! I need to get some. Go over there and get a yo-yo. 10% off on yo-yos. I love. I was never good at yo-yos, but I always loved having yo-yos. Um, and then pop. You got these novelty type pops. Triple X root beer. Okay, and then let's see. Are they going to have Natty Light? No Natty Light this week. No Natty Light. You got Good Boy iced tea, lemonade. I assume that's hard iced tea and lemonade. Sparkling wine. Something Bengals. Okay. I don't know. So no Natty Light. So I'm totally out of luck. I was trying to convince my wife she should start drinking Natty Light so we could save money. And Jungleton's always had it on sale. All right, so that is the Clermont Sun for the 17th, right? The 17th. And again, we had 3 phone it in stories from Megan Alley, Jake Dowling, and Matt, the Matt guy. I'll get your name right next time, Matt. They'll let your last name. Excellent job. And they continue to not include the Jungle Gyms ad in the e-edition, which I think they should. Music. And just as an exemplar, we have like, because this is actually news in the political world in Clermont County, which is important. Now Bill Thomas has been indicted. Let's see if they have a story about the indictment next week. Let's see if they have a story about the court cases against Clermont County because of their failure to produce records. Meg and Allie will never have a story like that because they're not allowed to have a story like that. Now, all right, we're almost out of time. Fair tomorrow. I'm planning to go to the fair parade. I want to interview some politicians there. Should be a great time. And fair parade, I think the fair parade, don't take me at this, but I think it's like at 1 or something like that. It's like at 1 tomorrow in Owensville. Maybe I can bump into some of the Owensville cops and talk to them about Signal 99. Maybe they can put me in the clink for asking First Amendment protected questions to people in official offices. But that's tomorrow, fair parade tomorrow, and then the fair is this upcoming week. Should be a good time. Lots of opportunities for get out and ask hard grilling questions to your politicians. And I tell everybody with politicians this. You have to work from the assumption that they're all scum of the earth, okay? And let them prove to you that they are ethical, moral people. If you are going to talk to them, they love to talk to people individually, one-on-one. Why? Because then they can tell different people different stories. So I would say ask them when they, people aren't covered. It's totally legal to record people in Ohio without telling them you're recording them. When you're part of a party to the conversation, if you're a party to the conversation, it's always legal to record it, even if the other people in the conversation don't know it. If you're not a part of the conversation, you like eavesdropping somebody, that's not legal, okay? But many people are uncomfortable though with recording people. I only record people I don't trust, or have lied about what happened in a discussion previously, like Greg Simpson. But when you go to a fair and you see one of these politicians, ask them hard questions and ask them, would you mind if I record you and your answers and watch them run? Watch them run, okay? But fair this week, it's free to have fun with politicians that way. And thank you for tuning in. Have a great weekend. And I'll be back next week reading the Clermont Sun.